You follow AI, right? Like all the latest things, especially language models, stuff like ChatGPT.
Yeah, definitely. It's moving so fast.
So what if there was a way to use those models, but take them even further, like to actually solve those super complex problems that usually AI can't quite wrap its head around?
That's the dream, right? How would that even work?
Well, it all comes down to this new technique called tree of thoughts, 2T for short.
Okay, I've heard of this. Heard it's a game changer.
It might be. The idea is that most AI, even something as advanced as ChatGPT, it's great at spotting patterns, but it struggles with the kind of planning and reasoning,
Yeah.
thinking things through strategically that humans do.
Right, like it's not really thinking. More like really good predicting.
Exactly. And that's where this 2T thing comes in. It tries to get AI to approach those problems more like we do.
Okay, so instead of just firing off responses based on the patterns it's seen before, it's actually like thinking through the problem.
Yeah, almost like it's mapping out a strategy, just like a human would. Imagine you've got one of those brain teaser puzzles, like those Game of 24
Oh,
challenges.
right. Where you've got to use four numbers and try to reach 24 using just basic math.
Yeah, like if you had the numbers 4, 9, 10, and 13.
Oh, man. Okay, so to get to 24, see, that's a good example, right? Because you need more than just knowing how to do math to solve that. You need strategy. You need to think ahead, maybe backtrack if a certain path isn't working.
And that's exactly what TTT is supposed to let AI do.
So how does it do that? Does it like get a whiteboard or something?
Songs. Not quite. Think of it more like this. Imagine the AI is making a tree, right, with branches and everything. And each point on that tree, each little node is a thought, like a step towards solving the problem.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get it. So for that game of 24 example, each thought could be a different equation using those four numbers.
Exactly. But, and here's the really interesting part with 2T, it's not just blindly generating random equations, it's actually evaluating them as it goes.
So it's like the AI is thinking, okay, this equation, this is good. This gets me closer to 24, or this one, this is useless, dead end.
It's like it's got its own built-in critic.
Love it. So it's self-critiquing. How does it even...
Well, the researchers who came up with this, they broke it down into 4 key parts.
Okay, four parts.
First, you've got thought decomposition.
Thought decomposition, breaking it down.
Exactly. You got to break that big problem down into smaller, manageable steps, just like those individual equations we were talking about.
Makes sense. Got to break it down. So what's next?
All right, so after it's broken things down, then it's time for thought generation.
Thought generation. Okay.
So it looked at all the pieces, right? Like all the different ways it could go. So then it's got to decide which path it's going to actually try,
Yeah.
right?
Got to make a choice.
So that's where this state evaluation thing comes in, right?
Exactly. So this is where it gets really interesting. Because now it's not just about having ideas, it's about judging those ideas. Like, are they any good?
So it's got to be its own toughest critic.
Yeah, exactly. Like we do, right. If we're trying to solve a problem, we come up with different options, but then we've got to be like, okay, wait a minute, does this actually make sense?
Totally. Got to weed out the bad ideas.
Exactly. So the AI is doing the same thing. It's looking at each of those thoughts, each of those possible steps, and it's trying to figure out how promising it is. Is this going to get me closer to where I want to be? Or am I going down a rabbit hole here?
Like it can tell if it's going off on a tangent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that leads to the fourth element, which they call the search algorithm.
The search algorithm, okay.
And this part is all about strategy. So it's not just randomly trying things out. It's taking those evaluations, those judgments it made about its own thoughts, and it's using that to make a smart decision about which path to explore further.
So it's like it's learned to prioritize. Like it's thinking, okay, this is the most promising lead.
Yeah.
This is where I should focus my energy.
Exactly. And the crazy thing is, this approach actually works. The researchers who developed TOT, they tested it out on a bunch of tasks that even those super advanced language model like GPT-4 struggle with.
Oh, wow, really? Like it actually does better than just feeding GPT-4 a prompt and crossing your fingers.
Way better. Remember that game of 24?
The math puzzle thing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
So using this TOT method, they got a 74% success rate.
You're kidding. 74%. I could barely even solve those with a calculator. What was it getting before with like the normal way of doing it?
Oh, just using standard prompting, they were only getting about 4% success. So it's night and day. It's a total game changer in terms of getting AI to actually solve these really tricky problems.
Okay, that's wild. So what other problems did they throw at this thing?
Well, they also tried something pretty wild. They had it try its hand at creative writing.
Creative writing. AI writing poetry now.
Well, not quite poetry, but they challenged the AI to write a coherent story, like a 4-paragraph passage. But here's the catch. They gave it 4 random sentences and told it that each sentence had to be the last sentence of each paragraph.
Hold on. So they basically gave it the punchline before the joke.
Pretty much, it's a really tough task, even for a human writer.
No kidding. You'd have to reverse engineer the whole story, figure out how to connect those seemingly random sentences in a way that makes sense.
Exactly. It takes a lot of planning. You got to think ahead. You got to be flexible. And that's what makes it such a good test for this T-to-T method.
So how'd it do? Did it turn out any bestsellers?
Lofts. Not quite. But it did do something pretty incredible. It actually wrote more coherent stories than the standard GPT-4 prompting method. And to make sure it wasn't just a fluke, they used GPT-4 itself to judge the stories.
Whoa, hold on. So they had AI judging AI.
Exactly. Isn't that wild?
That's super meta.
I know, right? But it gets even better. They also brought in human judges to get a second opinion.
Just to make sure the AI judges weren't showing any bias.
Exactly. And guess what? The results were the same. In both cases, the stories written using the TOTI method scored higher for coherence. Like, it actually made sense. It had a flow to it.
That's amazing. So it's like 2T gives the AI some kind of narrative structure, right? Like it can follow a plot.
That's what it seems like. Like, it can actually plan out where it's going instead of just spitting out words that sound good next to each other.
Wow. Okay, so this 2T thing, it's good for math. It's good for writing stories. What else you got?
Well, for the grand finale, they threw one more challenge at it, something that really tests logic and strategy. Solving those mini crossword puzzles, you know, the little 5x5 grids.
Oh, wow. Crossword puzzles. So now we're talking vocabulary, spatial reasoning.
Exactly. It's a whole different kind of problem solving. And once again, 2T came out on top, consistently solved more puzzles than standard prompting, and with a much higher success rate for getting individual words and letters correct.
Because it could backtrack, right? If it got stuck, it could erase and try something else.
Exactly. It's like it learned how to use all those classic crossword strategies.
That's really impressive. It sounds like this TOTI thing is blowing standard AI methods out of the water when it comes to these complex problems.
Mm-hmm.
So we've gone from AI that can barely add 2 plus 2 to AI that's writing stories and solving crossword puzzles like it's nothing.
It really makes you think, huh? What are the limits of this stuff?
That's what I'm wondering. Like, on the one hand, it's super exciting.
Oh, yeah.
But then on the other hand, it's kind of like, whoa, hold on a minute.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like, if AI can already outthink us in some of these ways,
Yeah.
what does that even mean for us?
Well, I think it changes how we think about what AI is actually good for.
How so?
Well, for a long time, people have been talking about AI as just this tool, right? Like a really fancy calculator.
Yeah.
But now, with this TOTI thing, it's almost like AI is becoming more like a partner. Yeah. Like something you can actually collaborate with.
So instead of us just telling it what to do, it's actually helping us figure things out.
Exactly. And if that's where we are now, just imagine where we'll be in a few years.
Yeah, what kind of problems could we solve if we had AI that could really, truly think with us?
It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it.
It really is.
Like, we could have AI helping us design incredible new technologies.
Yeah. Or come up with cures for diseases.
Exactly.
I even saw an article where they were talking about using AI to create art and music.
I saw that too. It's amazing the stuff they're doing.
It's like we're on the verge of a whole new era of creativity and innovation,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all being driven by this AI that can actually think strategically and creatively.
And the best part is, we're just getting started.
What do you mean?
Well, this 2T thing, it's really just the tip of the iceberg.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Researchers are already working on even more advanced versions of these algorithms.
Like ways to make the AI even better at problem solving.
Exactly. They're finding ways to fine-tune it, to make it even more powerful.
So what we're seeing now with 2T, it's really just a glimpse into the future.
Exactly.
Wow. It's kind of hard to wrap your head around it.
It really is.
Like we've opened this door to this whole new world of possibilities, and we can't even see where it leads yet.
Exactly. Who knows what we'll be able to accomplish with AI in the years to come? It's an exciting time to be paying attention to this stuff.
It really is. Well, that's about all the time we have for today, but wow, this tree of thoughts thing really has given us a lot to think about. Until next time, keep exploring, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.